Hello and welcome to our Monday morning stream. We're going to be continuing to work on our dear boy. If you missed out on our last stream, we did something really fun last Saturday that I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do for the Saturdays in the future. We did some live critiques. We got to look at, let's see, I think three different pieces from three different artists. And if you guys are interested in checking those out, I would say I think there was a good variety for our first time doing this. But those critiques will be up on my YouTube channel today at 3 Eastern, I believe is when that goes up. But yeah, definitely check it out, and then send me some stuff for next Saturday if you want to be in on the next live critique session. But yeah, we're going to be taking a look here at posing. And, oh yes, I should mention, if you do want to send me that stuff, it's follygon@gmail.com. Live critique session next Saturday. I'm hoping we can get some more people in there by that time. What is going on, David? How are you doing, man? And thank you, Fish Tacos, for the follow. Just started the stream, and already getting some fish tacos up in here. That sounds really good, though. Alright, so we're going to be continuing to work on our pose for our character. I really want to get in and focus on our ankles. And yeah, probably some of the transitory areas where this is connecting to the body, where it feels like it could use quite a bit more volume. Try to get some of that stuff in there too. And we will kind of just piecemeal it from there. But let's start off by just turning off everything except for our feeties. So I really want to get in here and work on these translations. They're not very nice right now. I'm not a fan. Need some work. But yes, feel free to jump in, ask any questions, or just hang out. I'm Follygon, by the way, if you don't know, or you can call me Ben. Doesn't really matter to me. One's my real name. I'll never tell you which. Yeah, let's see. What's going on, Fish Tacos? How's your day going so far? Let me see here. Yeah, we had a really good variety on our first Saturday for our live sessions. We got to look at somebody who shared with us their very first sculpt. I think that was PTRNG. And I think that was really good for people that are just starting out to kind of get some information with that and see some of the pitfalls that can occur in those early stages. I really think the main thing was just that they maybe bit off a little bit more than they could chew, and I think that's a very common issue. Try to do a little bit more than you're probably comfortable with, and it's important to push yourself, but I think especially when you're really just starting out, like it's your first time, I think it's important to... What's going on here with my pen? There we go. I think it's really important to kind of take a step back and really focus on those fundamentals and try to do something that's really simple. Mainly especially when you're trying to learn the UI and everything at the same time. It's really tough. Just hanging at work? Tisk. Watching streams at work. Well, don't worry, you're not the only one. I know there's a lot of people that do that, so it's cool. Hope your workday's going well, though. What's the purpose of the modeling, animation, 3D printing? That would be down in my FAQ below. I refuse to answer any of these. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're just doing some sculpting, dude. I forgot about this. I keep forgetting about our beautiful hidden face behind our deer head up here. This is his true face. The top portion is only a mask. Yeah, my professional background is working on stuff for physical production. So toys, minis, stuff that's like life-size figures for either museums or amusement parks. So all modeling that I do here on the stream is kind of, with that in mind. So no animation. But yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions about 3D printing. Actually, in not our last stream, but maybe the stream before that, we went over a bunch of stuff for 3D printing. It was the last video where I was working on this character here, this dragon bust that we did. And we set this up for 3D printing for, we talked about FDM and SLA printing. So if you're interested in those kinds of technologies, go on over to my YouTube channel, and it's somewhere under, if you go to my most recent uploads, it'll be under there. Let's say 3D printing something or another. HUD boy, how is it going? It's been a while. How you doing? It has been a while, yes. I assume HUD boy is also at work. Yeah, for sure, man. Appreciate you coming to check out the stream. It's just some general kind of weird additional curves happening in these legs that I don't know how to, I guess just kind of moving them around, it slowly built up over time. But let's take a look here. This is more so the shape that I want to happen back here. Straight, a little bit of a hit, and then a little bit of a convexity on the other side. This kind of depends on the orientation of this joint though. It's going to change the shape quite a bit. Just kind of inverse it depending on what side it's on. It's really hard to work on these because there's so much stuff getting in the way of the camera as I rotate around. So I'm just going to select that, hide everything else, and yeah, it's a little bit easier to work on, I think. Still got those floating around off in 3D space, but that's fine. That's fine. Make it work. Try to line this up a little bit better. Make sure that our edges down here are not kind of sticking out too far. We'll probably work on this connection area a little bit more after we tweak some of these other ankles. But yeah, that's feeling a little bit better. For a lot of this stuff, I just like to turn off poly paint so that that's not distracting me. A lot of the time, it's just really hard to figure out what's going on in your surface. See the form with all that color and texture on there. And that material in general, that ZBrush paint or the Skin Shade 4 material, not super great at figuring out just what's happening on your surface. Try to use like a basic material 1 or 2. Those are pretty nice. Or you can go buy my materials. But honestly, I do think the basic materials are pretty good. Guilty as charged, definitely at work. I figured. Like I said, David, or who was it? No, Fish Tacos is at work. You're not the only one, Fish Tacos. See, we already got more people admitting to their sins. I don't think most, well, I guess it kind of depends what field you're in. But a lot of, if you're a software dev or anything related, a lot of those places don't really care as long as you're getting your stuff done. If you have something like music or a stream on in the background, normally places are pretty cool about that. But then again, sometimes you do have to pull up Hacker Typer and make it look like you're a coding master. If you guys don't know what Hacker Typer is, it's fantastic. Let's see. Hacker Typer. Hacker Typer. It's the most BS code. You just slam around on your keyboard. It doesn't matter what keys you hit. You just generate total BS code and just go crazy. Ooh. What can I... Control B, we can buy... Oh, we can... What is this? Buy some Bitcoin here on Hacker Typer. But yes, next time your boss comes around, just walking around, or your supervisor or anything, just what? Even if you're not a programmer, just pull up Hacker Typer. Go crazy. This hoof is not aligned properly. Get this more straight with our ground plane. pull that up a little bit, just a tab, just a tab with a D. Whoops. All right, try to realign that. I'm mainly just using my move brush on this stuff, and then I'm using a little bit of like. A little bit of trim, a little bit of clay tubes just to fill in some of this area. Where around here in the surface it's getting a little kind of messy. I'd like to plane this out, get rid of these extra concavities that we're seeing here. Let's fill that in. This is the main point where I want that hit in our silhouette. So wrapping around there. Get rid of those extra little curves in our surface. It gets a little too busy. David is painting some soldiers for an indie game. That sounds like fun. Yeah, working together. That actually seems to be a very common thread in like artistic fields. If somebody's working on something, they'll be listening to some kind of podcast or watching a stream, or just have it on in the background, right? Of somebody else doing something artistic. I don't know. Especially for me, someone that doesn't work in a typical kind of office environment. You know, it's nice to have other people to not really work with, but like be around the same people. Nice to have a community of people like that. Twitch is a good place for that. Glorious. Working in aerospace, running a laser. Ooh, blowing up stars probably. Sounds like a lot of fun. Plenty of downtime during the day. Well, that's fun. Yes. Then you definitely use hacker typer. It's almost guaranteed. It's well known that if you work with lasers and you blow up stars, essentially, Tacos just said that he works on the Death Star. Is what I heard. Listening keeps us away from insanity. I don't know about that. It hasn't really helped me in that regard personally, but I can understand where you're coming from. Too many hours alone, yeah, for sure. Especially for sculpting. Sculpting's just such a slow process. Almost like I don't have enough polys down here, which isn't really true. I just need this edge to stay tight. And you know what? Let me just move my light around a little bit. It's kind of throwing me off with my surface. That's feeling a lot better to me now. Let's kind of continue on, and then, like I said, we'll probably make some additional passes on these once we get that ankle kind of joint there, having that form correct. The main thing I want to do after that is really work on this bottom edge and try to figure out exactly how I want to transition that. Probably a lot of that will be figuring out what I want to do with this kind of gap in here and play with this a little bit more, because it's really tight and really deep right now, unnecessarily so, and it looks really kind of hard surfacey. So we'll probably take that back a notch. Hip Hop Bebop, what's going on? Welcome. Welcome back. Alright, let's actually see... Wanted to see how this one was aligning a little bit. Lucid, what is going on? Welcome to the stream. And everybody else that's joining us. How's your Monday going so far, guys? Your Monday might actually be almost over, depending on where you are in the world, I guess. For a lot of us, our Monday is kind of just starting. Sad. Sad face. Sad emoji. Alright, so I think I want to get a little bit more of a hit towards the front here. Maybe even bend that a little bit more towards the back. But I might be able to indicate that more with just the form here of the ankle. So let's try that. So give me some of this geo here. Move brush. What's going on? Ah, back face. Man, I always forget to turn off back face masking. Let's see. I think get a little rotation here. I don't know. I think I want to go into transpose and get a little bit more angle back on that. And then possibly even sway that leg forward a little bit more depending on how much we do that. So let's go into T-pose very quickly. It's too straight. It's too straight right now. Yeah, we'll do that first and then play with some of these angles a little bit more. So T-pose mesh, it's just up in your Z plugin transpose master. And grab a quick mask here. Lucid is doing some animating. Sounds like fun. And Fish Tacos says that they bought one of my tutorials off of Gumroad. I'm not sure which one, but as I tell everybody that grabs my stuff off there, feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions about anything, and I'd be happy to help you out. That kind of goes for everybody, but I try to, give a little bit more priority to. It makes sense, right? Give a little bit more priority to people that have purchased some of my stuff. But yes, of course. Which one did you end up grabbing off of there, Fish Tacos? There's a few of them. If you don't know what Fish Tacos is talking about, there's a link somewhere below to my Gumroad. It's just Gumroad/Follygon. There's a few different courses that I have on here, and I have another new one in the works, which I haven't really talked about too much. But yeah, I would appreciate it if you checked it out. Got a lot of good stuff on there. Like I said, I do have something else kind of in the works right now. It's still a little bit in the pre-planning, just starting off phases. But it's going to be a little bit of a bigger one and maybe a little bit different this time. I'll have some more info on that later on though. And of course, if you're joining in right now and weren't able to catch our last stream, which was Saturday, we did our first ever session of our live critiques, which was a ton of fun. We got to look at 3 different artworks, and I'm hoping that by next Saturday we'll have even more stuff we can look at. So if you are interested in getting something critiqued live here on stream, you can shoot me an email at follygon@gmail.com. Include in there your Twitch username, your ZTool file, obviously tool save as, and then just a little bit of info about what you would like me to specifically look at, and just try to be as specific as you can, because that really does help me. And when asking for critique in general, I think you should try to be as specific as you possibly can. It's really going to help you get the best critique that you'll be able to get out of those people. Instead of just saying something like, "What you think?" Like that's asking for a terrible critique. You're you're setting yourself up to fail. So don't do that. Or, what do you think could be better? It's like, probably a lot. Like, asking for good critique would be like, here's the concept image, and here's my 3D model. Like, where are some difference? Like, how can I get closer to that image? That's asking for some good information. That's like a very actionable thing. All right. We'll transpose back here. This ankle is probably the one that's annoying me the most because I'm not... Here. There we go. I'm not actually sure if I want that to be mid-step. I thought I wanted it to be, but now I'm starting to think that maybe it should just be more firmly planted, kind of flat on the ground there. The Charizard, the intermediate one that I have on there. This one here, the middle one. Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate you checking it out and grabbing something from there. Do I critique hard surface? I can. I guess it depends exactly what you want, Lucid. If you have an example, if it's something that you poly-modeled in something else, or if it's something that you poly-modeled and sculpted here in ZBrush, and you have a Z tool that you want me to look at, then I'll definitely take a look. But you know, my background is in working on characters mainly. So if you check out my art station, you can see a lot of examples of a lot of the stuff that I have done. And I actually do think that stylized characters are, in a way, very close to hard surface modeling. I won't say that it's, you know, hard surface. Let's see, like, we'll just like look up a mech real quick here. Go by here. Here's something recent. So like, I wouldn't say quite to this degree, but almost. In all honesty, stylized character modeling is somewhat close in a lot of ways. Maybe we can find kind of an example here. Just the way stuff is planed out. If we have some other angles here. No, it is not hard surface modeling. It is not poly-modeled, but I would say that a lot of it is similar. And if you are experienced in hard surface modeling in ZBrush, before we got the Z Modeler brush, then you're very aware of what I'm talking about. And a lot of those old hard surfacing techniques are still used, but a lot of it has been thankfully replaced by the Z Modeler brush. I still do use a lot of those techniques though in just, you know, everything that I'm working on. I think a lot of that comes from me splitting stuff out like to multiple subtools. It's kind of a holdover from those days before we had some of the tools that we do now. But it is, you know, I do believe that splitting out your subtools is still extremely helpful. I don't know if there will ever be a tool really that could be introduced that would make me really want to switch that style. But I can't, you know, I can't imagine every single tool that's ever going to be developed here in ZBrush or whatever the next amazing sculpting software is, or VR sculpting, right? Just having the ability to split stuff off into multiple pieces is so nice. So very, very nice. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's totally fine. We will have plenty of examples in the future to show off my sculpting process from the very beginning. I might actually, very quickly here, have an old version that I can show you guys. Yeah. So this is one of our initial blockout phases before we got to where we are today, right? Let me turn on perspective here so we can see. So here's where we are right now, and this is where we started, right? So, and this is what I mean by a lot of this is kind of similar to hard surface, right? Not exactly, but I think you get what I'm saying. So you got to start somewhere, and especially when you're starting from a sphere and starting from scratch. But having that ability to just have all these multiple pieces that we can separate, split off, and then eventually merge down later, it's the best. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I'm going to delete that, though. We'll get back to our cankles down here, our deer cankles. Before the gizmo and its transformation, spent some hard time figuring out how to bend a shield, says David. Yeah, a lot of those deformers are very new and they're awesome. There's some really good stuff in there. But before that, I don't know what you mean by bend a shield. But like to what degree? Like I'm imagining like a Captain America shield maybe like bent with a 90-degree angle or something. That'd be interesting to try to stretch that and not make it look like a typical ZBrush rotation, you know? Getting that awkward stretching that you normally get. Those deformers have helped out a ton. A lot of the new stuff in here is, in the last, probably in the last 2 years, has really kind of pushed beyond my expectations in terms of toolset. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. Alright, let's get a little bit more volume on the back side of this and then hop on over to our fourth ankle, that front right leg. And then we'll continue on there. But yes, if you're new here and have no idea what's going on screen, I always like to say, well, first of all, this is ZBrush, the software, and I'm doing some digital sculpting. It's just high-resolution 3D modeling. If you are familiar with 3D modeling at all, or the idea of 3D modeling, it's just the manipulation of polygons to create a three-dimensional shape. And I like to explain ZBrush or digital sculpting as kind of, imagine just sculpting clay, but here on the computer, right? I know, especially for people that just jump in here, that are checking things out, it's like, what the heck am I even looking at? And it's, I don't know, I feel like it's a lot when you first see it. Very, very confusing. Do I have any suggestions from going from being a poly modeler to learning sculpting? I guess it depends on how experienced you are as a poly modeler. I think if you are extremely, if you're like professional level poly modeler, you've been doing stuff in Max, Maya, Modo, whatever you use, and you've been doing that for years, and you have worked professional jobs in the industry, I don't think you're gonna have much trouble. I do think there will probably be some issues with just the UI initially, and then as everybody does, it's just a different workflow. Sculpting is completely different. So just really taking the time to, I think, learn the software before you try to dive in on too much, and then just really understand that it is a completely different way of modeling. Digital sculpting is it's a little backwards in a way, that high to low workflow instead of the typical low to high, and dependent on what you're working on. And then there's a ton of free tutorials of stuff online. I have my YouTube channel, YouTube/Follygon. I have hundreds of free videos on there. We've been streaming here every day for the past 2 months or so, almost. So there's, a ton of free stuff on there for those if you want to check out that for a bunch of kind of going through the entire process of creating a character. So if you, let's see, over on my YouTube channel, let's see. What was one of the first ones? Probably this gal here. Let me mute this real quick. Ah, no, this is Goofy. Is it Goofy? I can't remember. No, it's not. It's both. Alright. Never mind. But yes, man, for people that are just starting, I really do think it kind of depends on how experienced you are. And I don't like to, I don't want to like keep hitting the same nail on my Gumroad over and over again, but I do have a quick start course over there if you are really interested. Essentially, the whole point of my ZBrush quick start course is to get people up and running in the software as quick as possible. It's not so much a sculpting tutorial, but more a course so that you can learn the UI and learn what's important in ZBrush before you kind of trudge forward and try to make a full character on your first day. And I really do think that's a bad idea. I always recommend people try to start with something extremely small and something that's easy for you to objectively reference to see if you've done a good job. And two examples of that I really like are sculpting a finger, because your first time in ZBrush you're going to be struggling with the UI like crazy. Try to sculpt a finger. I think it's not too complicated. You know, it's pretty much just a cylinder, and then it's a lot more complicated than that. But it's pretty much starting off with a cylinder. It's a pretty basic shape, and then you have a great reference right in front of you that you can look at while you're sculpting. So that, and I also recommend trying to sculpt a nose, because I think a nose is a little bit more difficult than a finger. It's got some added form in there, but if you just start off with a sphere and try to sculpt a nose on top of that, I think that'll be pretty helpful for you. You can take some pictures of your own nose or look up a ton of references online, and I think you'll learn a lot from those two things. Where I see problems a lot of the time is when people try to bite off a little bit more than they can chew, try to sculpt a full character their first time, or, you know, it's my first week using ZBrush and here's a quote anatomy study and it looks like a bunch of blocky garbage, which is something very common. Yeah, it's just very obvious that people are kind of diving in headfirst into the shallow end. Just take your time, you know? Get acclimated to that water. Thank you, yeah, absolutely, man. Don't go diving into that shallow end. There's no diving sign. That's my new slogan, guys. No diving in the shallow end. Let's just chill out. It's not a race. Everybody's so eager to get in there and make characters, but I really do believe that it's bad for somebody that's just starting out to try to make characters, and I see a lot of universities that are like, it's your first semester, and alright, you have learned how to use ZBrush, let's start making a character. And I really do think it's bad for many reasons, but one of the main reasons that I think it's bad for people is that I think it can actually like really turn you off from 3D modeling. You start to do something like in ZBrush or 3D, you know, it doesn't have to be ZBrush, but whatever, and you kind of get turned off from it because the thing that you made does look really bad, and you might start to think like, oh, you know, maybe I'm not cut out for this, but it's like, no, 3D takes so long to practice and get good at, like, holy crap, no, give yourself like at least a year or two before you start comparing yourself so strongly to what you're seeing as industry standard. Like, just take a chill pill. Don't quit just because you didn't do it on your first try. Beware beginning in ZBrush. If you click the wrong buttons, you can activate a nuclear missile. It's true. It's true. Very easy to destroy a lot of form that you've built up as well with your smooth brush. And the smooth brush is like one of the first tools that you learn how to use and you're like, ooh, cool, this makes my mesh look better, question mark? And then you start using it very, just like all over the place, like, oh, smooth. Oops, I broke everything in 2 seconds. Fantastic, okay. I love this software. Like, really, like, check this out. Like, look at his head. It's like 2 seconds. Not even 2 seconds. It's so easy to break stuff and ruin a lot of hard work that you've done. Take your time. That's why I really don't like, and I don't really do this stuff anymore. I'm not a huge fan of, like, speed sculpts, right? And that term is used so liberally here. Just, it's like, oh yeah, I spent 20 hours doing this speed sculpt. I'm like, okay, that sounds like maybe just a normal project that you would do. or you know, oh, I did this 1 hour speed sculpt and it looks like crap, but like, I did it in an hour. It's like, what are you learning from that? Are you just trying to see what you can do in that time? Like, that's not super helpful for you. I try with every project that I do to always have something that I'm trying to focus on, trying to like work on or get better at during that project. Like the last thing that we did, that dragon bust that I was just showing off, this guy, I hadn't done a creature like this in a while, probably like 6 months to a year. Like the last, I don't even have the last creature-y thing like similar to this that I did even on my art station. So it might have been like half a year or so since the last time I did that. So that was the goal of that, just to kind of see how much I've leveled up since the last time I did something around like around that style. Am I using the Express Keys remote? No, dude. I threw that thing in my closet and never used it ever again. I opened up the box. If you don't know, here, Wacom Express Key remote. This thing is so useless. At least I think it is. I mean, it's cool. I shouldn't say it's useless. But it's this little remote, and it is cool because it like magnetizes to your Cintiq, and you can like drop it around and keep it around. But I've been using the keyboard shortcuts in ZBrush so long, my hand is like permanently frozen in this claw shape around my Control-Alt, all these keys down in the bottom left corner of my keyboard. I've switched my keyboard. Thank you, Eric, for the follow, by the way. I switched my keyboard to try out a new one, and it wasn't the exact same like dimensions as my current keyboard I'm using, and it annoyed me so much. I was like, screw this, I'm going back to my old keyboard. Like, my hand is like frozen in this state. Yeah, I really, a lot of keyboard shortcuts, I don't know if you guys do this, but I like in a lot of software, I don't even think about what keys I'm pressing, to the extent like, oh, I just, you know, do this, it's like all muscle memory, and this rotates, and this changes something, and this flips my canvas, and blah, blah, blah. But then if somebody asks me what a keyboard shortcut is, or if I stop and think about it, I'll be like, I don't know, actually. Hold on a second. Like, let me look at a keyboard. I have to do my muscle memory thing. I do that all the time. But no, I do not use the Express Key remote. So if anybody wants one, I mean, hit me up. Let's see. Speed sculpt, 70 hours in real time, yes. 5-minute YouTube video. Or yes, a speed sculpt that is in all actuality just a time lapse of someone speeding up the footage. Not exactly what I would call a speed sculpt, right? Control Z, I use that one a lot, yes. I don't use undo all that often, really. A lot of stuff is, you know, not too easy, or I'm sorry, not too difficult to fix. The only time that I really undo something is if I've, you know, gone a few steps ahead and I'm like, oh, you know what, that doesn't work the way I thought it did, or if I'm using something like lazy mouse. and I'm trying to make a stroke, and then sometimes it glitches out and it'll do something like that, I'll undo that stuff. But for the most part, you know, I don't really, it's not as detrimental as you might think. I wish I could Control Z my life. That's oh no. That's pretty good though. You use your remote every day but the 27 takes up so much space on your desk, it'd be hard to use a keyboard. Yeah, I have this like little slidey out shelf thing underneath my keyboard that attaches to the bottom, so it's not on my desk, which is nice. Plus I have an Ergotron arm to keep my Cintiq up off the desk as well. And I love that arm. I would not enjoy using this tablet nearly as much if I did not have that Ergotron arm. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Alright, let's check out some silhouette stuff here. See how this is shaping up with our legs and our ankles and everything else. Maybe make some big scale changes here at the lower subdivs. Just trying to get rid of any super strong, awkward like silhouette turns, as well as any additional like silhouette hits that are not necessary. Like, I'm not seeing as much as I was before because I've sat here and got rid of many of them, but even just little things like little extra, you know, warbliness in the leg, something like that, that really does affect your silhouette quite a lot. And this is just one instance of it. But when you have like 10 or 100 of these when you're starting out and you're going through this process, it really does start to add up really quick. And taking the time to go through your silhouette and just keep those 3D fundamentals in mind while you're sculpting on all this stuff, and just start to slowly kind of whittle away at it. It really helps take your character to the next level. Man, talking and sculpting at the same time, not my strong suit. But I love listening. I love more than anything listening to people that do Let's Plays complain about how hard it is to talk and play video games at the same time. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here with this. Video game. Vidya game. Alright, we're going to have to clean up our poly paint throughout this as well, but I think I want to continue focusing on the form a little bit more. There were some changes that I wanted to make to our neck. All these poly groups are messed up. That's okay. Let me see if I have these images over here somewhere still. I think I do. Yes. So I have a bunch of different images of this guy. By the way, I don't think I have mentioned who this character is. It's Bambi's dad, the great prince of the forest. I'm just seeing a little bit more volume around his little neck floof there in a lot of these different illustrations. That one kind of blends a little bit more, and that one too. Some of these older ones, it's kind of more flat, but some of the newer stuff, it seems to be a little bit more rounded. We also need that white patch in there, that cream. Is that cream? I might make that a separate mesh. I think I could do that, actually. I think that would make sense too. So let's try that next. Because then you guys can see how I typically start something new. But actually, before we do that, let's just round this out a little bit more. Maybe get some more volume around some of these areas. We'll play with it a little bit. Let's see. Your 6'5" and those keyboard trays go right in the trash. Otherwise, you bash your knees straight into them. Man, that's no fun. It sounds like you need to get a lower chair or something. Maybe something a little bit more adjustable. 6'5", all legs. I'm 6 foot even, which in my head is just the perfect height to be. I just tall enough that, you know, I'm taller than most people. Yeah, I'm like at the perfect height where I never think about my height. That's what I would say. And I like that. It's just at that point where I like it. But everybody else in my family is really short. Like, my dad is much shorter than I. My sister's like 5'1". Like, I don't know where I got it. I lucked out somehow. But I'll take it. You know, I'll take the extra height. Like I said, just the perfect height where I never have to think about it. Never have to bash my knees on anything or my head. Alright, so I'm starting to pinch on my surface to really transition this a little bit more. And you can kind of see how we're starting to get a little bit of a hit there now, and a little bit of a turn back. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. That's good. I'm using a little bit of trim to kind of push that back edge in even more. And I'll probably use some clay tubes and kind of build that up and round it back out so it's not quite as tight through here. Either that or maybe even an inflate. I tend not to use the inflate too much. It's a little strong for my liking. Let's see. Let's try maybe just lowering that. And let's just try softening that edge some. I think, you know what? I think that will work. Yeah, let's keep on with that. I have the inflate brush down here on my quick bar, but really I don't use it that often. I should probably remove it. I try to update my UI every few months or so for stuff that I'm try to be a little bit more efficient. So if there's something new that it doesn't have to be new, but if there's something that I'm using a lot more recently than what I've been doing in the past, I tend to add that to my hotkey menu or something down here. Or if or if it's like the inflate brush where I don't use it enough, try to get rid of stuff like that to save on space. Hello Dora, welcome. How you doing? You're the perfect height where everything is built to hurt you. That's no fun. But it is funny. Thank you. Thank you for your humor services for us. For us that are not tall enough to be injured by the world. Alright. As that's coming up through here, I'm not really liking this highlight and this super hard edge through there. It feels really awkward to me, so I'm going to try trimming some of that back. A little bit more. I do like the silhouette that we're getting here, maybe just a little bit more volume as we rotate around there. Alright, let's do that a little bit over here as well. Doing just fine, as am I. I'm always doing good as long as I'm getting to do some fun sculpting in ZBrush. I'm always happy. Walking up, nothing like walking on the sidewalk and having a tree branch slap you in the face. That does sound like a good time for people watching. Maybe not for you. All right. So I'm thinking as well, try to round this out just a bit more. Get rid of that tight crease down the middle, or at least a little bit. Just a little too strong, right? I think so. And then we can get that little extra floof on here too. All right. So for our little extra floof, this little piece here, it's gonna be pretty flat based on what I've seen in a lot of these. But I would like to try making it a separate piece of geometry instead of just poly painting it, right? So let's try that first. Do I feel school is required to get a job? I guess it depends what school and what job. School is probably required to become some kind of medical professional. I don't think there's going to be a hospital that'll hire you. If you want to be an artist and work in the industry, do I think it's necessary to go to school? No, not at all. But there's a lot more, it also depends which school. There are a lot of schools that will give you some pretty terrible educations. Alright, I'm going to probably mask and extract some of this. Alright, let's see. Really, when you start thinking about school, you kind of have to look at things from yourself, you know? Are you a person that is so self-motivated that are you motivated enough to do twice as much work as you would have to do if you went to school, let's say? Or, like, maybe even look at it this way. Would you be comfortable doing 10 times the amount of work, working alone and self-teaching yourself, watching free stuff online, buying some courses online? Would you be comfortable doing that instead? And even with doing all of that, knowing that that is not guaranteed to get you a job, because school is not going to guarantee get you a job anywhere either. If you are comfortable with that, then I would say that you're probably self-motivated enough to try that route. But if you have the money and you want to go to school, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think school is awesome. I personally loved college. I didn't go to school for 3D modeling. You know, I went for front-end web dev and web design, and I don't really use that too much anymore. Let's see. In art, the only thing that matters is what you can create, and not the school that you went to. And in pretty much everything in life, the only thing that matters is what you can do. Who you know and what you can do. Never underestimate the power of knowing people, though. And school is very valuable in giving you that who power. Let's see. Alright, let's try that shape there. It's close enough to where I'm fine working with this. So I'm not going to do a traditional extraction because A lot of the time I'm not a huge fan of it. Yes. Captain America, Captain Falcon. School's good for networking. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, school gives you that great who you know. But it also gives you some what you know. But I know that a lot of schools, at least in this industry, they cover a lot of stuff that's maybe not so necessary, but you know, I don't want to say like the school's out to get your money, but most colleges, most higher education is out to get your money. I still receive phone calls. I just received a phone call yesterday from my college asking me to donate to them. It's like, haven't you taken enough? Like, come on. Obviously not. Obviously not, which is why they call people and ask for their money. But man, I don't even know why a college would need donations. Let's clean this up some here. Try to lower this dynamesh count. We'll go real low. Or try to make it real low. Been into 3D printing for a while and found ZBrush, so you wanted to give it a try. I think it is never too late to make a career change or try something new. Never too late to get into art. Whether you're 14 or 40 or whether you're 8 or 80, I really don't. The only barrier to entry is yourself. So I did an awkward little extraction on this piece of geometry. And I say awkward because I didn't use the actual extraction menu. I instead used some group loops to create an extraction. Just because it allows me to have a little bit more control over what I'm doing. I can kind of visualize exactly how far I want to pull out a shape or how thick I want to make that. And I think what I'm going to do on this is probably soften these edges to a point where they're really rolling in. Like, see over here how we're getting like that 1-2 kind of hit? It's like there's an actual edge, a corner there on that left side, but over here it's sloping in. That's more of what I want over here. So to do this, I'm not using the standard smooth. I'm using the smooth brush and then letting go of the shift key, and it does kind of this like averaging. It's just like the alternative smooth. It's a little bit better for some of this stuff here. I'm going to try to get a sharp point on this geo as well by using the move acu curve function. See. Try to pull that out a little bit sharper. And maybe make that shorter. We'll see here. We'll play with this shape for a while. Make sure we like what we have going on. Whoops. Eric, see any good memes lately? I've seen some bad memes lately. I've seen some very bad memes lately. Yes, everyone, please share your best memes. I want to see some homebrewed memes up in the chat. So, when I was in college, there was an elective that well, it wasn't an elective. It was a required course for my major, and it was in the art department, and I can't remember what the class was called, but it was like a total kind of BS fine artsy class, like new age fine arts, and our professor wanted us to make a meme, and this was a long time ago, when mainly memes were just like a picture of something with the big blocky white impact font on the top and bottom. And I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. Oh, and by the way, you got participation points. Like, you did it, you got an A, no matter what it was. Because how can you possibly judge new age fine art, right? So I was like, this is stupid. So I Googled a picture of a glass of orange juice, and I just put orange juice on it. That's all. That's all I did. And you had to go up in class, and you had to present your meme to everybody. And I helped my friend make his meme, which we called trucking. And we went around in the parking lot and stood in people's truck beds and took pictures of us. So that was fun. But when it came my turn, I plugged in my little thumb drive, and I was like, here's my meme, guys. It's orange juice. And the professor's just like, And everybody's in class like, I don't get it. And my teacher's just like, yeah, okay, like, all right, A. I'm like, yep, this class is so stupid. It's my best meme, guys. The best meme I've ever made. Orange juice. I probably have that image somewhere. I should try to find it. Let's see. The neck meme. The prison dude with the big neck. I don't think I've seen that one. Meme Renaissance. My favorite one is or at least just like one of my favorite images on the internet, is the kid sitting in class, and he's got like a black sweatshirt on or something, I think, and his face is like all red, and he's just like staring straight ahead, and he's got like this big bulging vein in his forehead. It's just a really funny picture. Okay. Bad Luck Brian? No, that's not Bad Luck Brian. Bad Luck Brian's the nerdy redhead dude, isn't he? Oh, I can't remember this kid. What's this meme's name? Somebody help. Some meme master. I wish meme master was a job. How to make money off memes. Alright. Get a little bit wider up here. Try not to get too thick. I don't want this to really affect the silhouette too much. You got me? You got me? Oh man, I don't have my, hold on. Let me open up my chat. My channel. I just deleted all my chat. Yes, this kid. This is like the best picture on the entire internet. What's this guy's name? Unilab, maybe? I don't know. That's good stuff. This is good. That's good internet right there. My name is Bambi, you killed my mom. It's time to die. That's right. That's right. I do remember that one. But is a meme until it's widely adopted? Hello, I am Ben DeAngelis, and welcome to meme class. At what point, now students, at what point does a meme truly, holy crap, it's so hot in here. At what point does a meme become a meme? And riddle me this. How many times does a meme have to be reposted until, like, if you just post an image, slap some text on that, is that a meme? I would argue not. Not until it is widely accepted. Tonight on Meme Court, the defendant, Bad Luck Brian, comes to terms with his slowly fading popularity in meme culture. The new meme stream. Alright. That's starting to feel a little bit better. I think mine's a little, I was gonna say a little bit too long. Maybe not. Some of these, a little different than some of these though. Can't remember the name either. What's his name? What's Meme Boy's name, guys? Someone in chat. Where'd my Google go? What's this kid's name? Not his real life name, but his meme name. What is his internet name? And also, why are there two of those? Is there like a spot the difference something going on there? Alright. Let's see. I like the neck floof. I think it could be positioned a little bit better. But this is another reason why it's awesome to have geometry for a lot of this stuff sometimes, because you can use stuff like your move brush to manipulate it. If you have poly paint, like, whoops. If you have poly paint, I mean, I can't really use any other brushes other than my painting brushes to continuously, affect this shape. And plus the added benefit of getting some additional volume and stuff through here is always cool to play with. Kind of messed that up. Alright, so we're getting some really annoying weird geometric, what do we got in here? Got some weird turns in the surface there that are kind of messing up the edge flow. Not really digging it, so we're gonna Z-remesh, or Dynamesh, sorry. There we go. Still a little bit too much volume down through here, I think. Other than that, though, I'm pretty happy with the shape for now. So we'll move on to something else here in just a moment. Alright, let's remesh this guy. Make sure that we're not losing any of the form. Probably just a quick... Let's try point low. See how low we can go. Not a super appealing color by itself, is it? Alright. So there's our little neck floof. There's maybe like a little slight curve cleanup there that needs to be done. Just the way that the volume here isn't flowing the natural curve of the neck kind of bothers me. So as we turn around in our silhouette, I still want that to follow the shape of the neck. But as you can see over here, if we're looking at this as the silhouette comes up and wraps around, should be doing more of that. So, maybe just a tad bit more tweaking. I think it's going to be just a really simple big move, something like this. Let's try that again. Still moving a little bit too much. It's kind of annoying. And this is the stuff that's a little bit harder to work on, but it's just as important because it affects your silhouette. So we're kind of looking how these two shapes blend together between the neck and the rest of the body here, the neck floof. I've kind of taken the time here recently to make that transition a little bit more and have more of a kind of wrap around and tuck back into that, so that for our neck floof, it just gets a little bit more rounded around a lot of these areas where it's connecting in there. And in some of these, it looks like it just flows right in, and I don't really like that look. And that's kind of how we originally had it, and it didn't really feel great. It didn't really make too much sense to me. It wouldn't be hard to go back to that. We could just combine these and remesh them back in. But I really do like the forms that we're getting around here, especially in the back of the neck. We might be able to get some more volume through here because it kind of gets a little flat, but I like it right now. I haven't noticed too much where I'm like, normally if something, excuse me, if something really sticks out to me, I'll change it, and sometimes I'll leave garbage in there to get fixed later and just not worry about it. But I don't know. For the most part, as soon as I see something, which is kind of why I jump around a lot when I'm sculpting, I try to fix it as quick as I can before I forget. Alright. Aight. I want to make sure that my materials are not messed up on this. Luckily, we don't have that many subtools here, so this is pretty easy to work on. Does ZRemesher help with the lumps and bumps? It can, but you can get rid of a lot of that stuff and it's particular to each shape that you're working on, I would say. So it's kind of hard to tell without looking at your file or what you have going on, if you do have something. But let's see here. So if we're looking at our surface, or let's say on your model, you just have a lot of here. Alright, so if you're looking at your model and, you know, I've made it a little bit more obvious here, maybe, but even if I smooth this back quite a bit, you know, stuff like that, I'll get rid of the texture from the stroke. Stuff like this is still very problematic. It might seem somewhat minor, and it's kind of maybe a little difficult for you guys to see, but since I went just over this area, maybe not. Let's move my light around, and maybe you can see some of those shadows on the surface a little bit more. But we have a positive piece here creating like a shadow there, and we got some shadows going on here, and some just extra like little bumps in our surface. What ZRemesher does in general is it gives you some low poly subdivs that let you step down and manipulate the surface at an easier level. So inherently what ZRemesher does is it gives you a lower poly count, typically, depending on what your poly count is and what you're ZRemeshing down to. So yes, that can make it a little bit easier to get rid of some of those forms in that regard. Same thing with Dynamesh though. You can Dynamesh a little bit lower and get rid of a lot of that bumpy surface that just isn't necessary. I will undo all that garbage that I did to get us back to where we were. It just kind of depends. It just kind of depends on the situation, what you're working with. If you want a super clean style, the trick is to stay low for as long as possible, and ZRemesh will help with getting rid of warbles. Yeah, I definitely recommend in general staying low poly for, not low poly necessarily, but as much topology, as many polygons as you need to make that shape. So, and the answer to that question is probably less than you think a lot of the time. You don't need a ton to make some of the shapes that I have even going on here. But we've been jumping around. I want to get back to my ankles now and my legs in general. We have some really nasty stars of geometry right around these points, and it's causing some terrible pinching. So I'm going to run a Dynamesh on this most likely, just so I can make this a little bit easier for me. And I don't know what 500 is going to put this at, so we will do a quick test. It's 3.5 mil. That's okay. That's fine. Not a big deal. I'm going to do some rough volume changes up through here. Just kind of want to get some of this blocked in a little bit more. And this will also, hopefully, when we go to remesh this again, we'll get rid of those terrible stars. That's really the main reason I'm doing this. We can also look at using ZRemesh with polygroups to try to get rid of some of those, or even some ZRemesher guides. We'll just have to see once we get to that point. And sometimes Dynamesh is just nice to get rid of all that terrible pinching that you had before, which is a lot of the time what I use it for, kind of like right now. I jump back and forth between the two, kind of depending on what I need mainly. A little bit closer to that shape there. Let's see. Where do you get most of your concepts from? Looking for inspiration. I just looked up Bambi's dad on Google Images. So I also use, I think there's a ton of awesome artists on ArtStation. If you're looking for some cool concepts to work off of. I mean, I don't know, there's a ton of stuff on there. Thank you for the raid there, Matthew. I appreciate it. But yes, ArtStation. Pinterest has some good stuff if you have something specific in mind. Like one of the witch characters that I did during October, I just, typed in witch into Pinterest, witch character concept, and started finding mainly costumes. In terms of the actual witch character, we kind of grabbed a bunch of stuff from Disney characters. Disney princesses. But yeah, I mean, normally it's not a problem of not having enough stuff to work on. Normally it's the opposite for your personal work of like having too much stuff you want to do. So that's why I'm like, I don't know how you couldn't find all this amazing art. There's so much. So much to pick and choose from. It's hard to decide. Getting ZBrush guides to work is like winning the lottery, which is why a lot of the time I just use, well, they're not perfect, if you want to use the, what is it called? Topology brush? The topology brush works with the curve functions in ZBrush. I don't know if I can do it on something with, oh, it doesn't matter. Here. Like that is, please don't crash. Okay, cool. The topology brush will actually create, topology from the curves that you generate. But yeah, I don't really use the ZBrush guide brush too often. Normally I just use polygroups. Seems to work just as well. If not better, because it does in fact give you polygroups after you're done remeshing everything, which is very nice. Now you're getting a lot of buffer. Oh no! I have 0 dropped frames and I'm uploading like 5,000 kilobits a second, so shouldn't be on my end. Hopefully it's not too bad for you though. That's no fun. Hubert, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Getting annoyed by some of these forms here. The heck happened to this? Why is that freaking out? What happened to you? Weird. Something got messed up down here. Might have to reduplicate that one just so it's a little bit more clean. I still... This one is the one that's annoying me the most. I know I have these really tight kind of pinches around here, but those will smooth out later, and it shouldn't be too hard to do that. I think I just want to put this back on the ground more firmly. I think it makes more sense. I want to try to get a little bit more cleaner topo out of this remesh, just in terms of getting rid of some of these stars. So the last one was not very nice. Why? Oh, okay. Why, ZBrush? Why are you doing this to me? And if we still get stars from this, that's okay. We'll make do with what we get. I'm looking for decent. Your phone doesn't like Twitch? Yeah, I've actually heard a lot of people have problems with mobile. Alright, so we can't remember... That was weird. So we cannot remember poly paint and poly groups, so we'll have to make it remember just one here with ZBrush. Actually, it won't matter, I don't think. Try a quick 3K. See what that does. Had a solid 2 minutes of buffer. Dang, that's no good. About to start your day with some retopo. Sounds like fun. If you chop a deer like that, PETA may appear to defend its rights. A right to be in my belly. Deer meat is not by itself that good, but once it's spiced up and everything, it's pretty good. My grandpa and my uncle hunt, or at least used to hunt a lot. Not quite as much now. Oh, I forgot to turn on keep groups with this, but it actually looks like most of the stars... There's one there. And one on a flat up there. You know what? I think this will be decent enough. Make sure we don't have any holes. But yeah, deer meat's not that bad. It's been a long time since I've had some. So I am also projecting the poly paint data onto this, which we will be cleaning up later. I just want to get the form back on here though for the higher poly stages. And you can see that we're actually getting this splotchy effect. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but I talked about this a little bit earlier in one of our last streams. and it's caused from projection. I'm not sure why it does it, but it's very annoying. It's not that big of a deal though. Stop it. Here, let me do nah, I don't need another. Never mind. Alright. So my main problem was that my main issue with that last version, the topology flow around these legs just had a really annoying star down here at this point. It was just really hard to work with because of that. There is a star right up here now, and that's not quite as bad because it's not on this curved surface. That one's a little bit out of the way, so it doesn't really affect too much. I can start getting some more volume in here without worrying about that star completely just screwing up my surface. And I do have a star back here now, which is a little annoying, but I didn't want to make too much of a change back here. You have to know how to cook it. Cook it like I cook all my meats. Just heat it up. Heat it up till cook. Heat up till cooked. No pink, no good. Or, well, other way around. But yes. Alright, then we're getting a little flat back here, I thought. I don't know how much additional volume I can get through here without... I don't want... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. Let's do a quick little test here. PETA's shady. I don't know how. I've seen PETA do some funny stuff in the past. I don't know if I'd say they're shady. PETA went crazy about Warhammer minis with fur capes. That's fun. And you're talking about a mini made of PVC plastic, not actual fur. I've never seen a mini with actual fur on it. Although that would be pretty cool. And probably the fur would be too large for a mini that's like an inch tall, or like 25 to 30 millimeters. Which is pretty standard. Alright, I think that area is starting to look a little bit nicer. I'm trying to just make that connection point a little bit better now. A little bit more evenly tapered. I'm talking about this like internal silhouette here. I'm trying to get like something a little bit more like that like point that I just drew out. So kind of trying to change the, yeah, a little bit more like that. Trying to change the angle of this this curve here. I feel like PETA is whatever is above being vegan. Or actually, they're like 2 stages past whatever being vegan would be. There's a really funny quote. I don't know why I always remember this one, but it's from some old Simpsons episode, and I think Lisa says it. She says something like, something about someone being like I'm an 8th level vegan or something. I don't eat anything that casts a shadow, which has always just made me laugh. PETA definitely needs some PR help, that's for sure. Just trying to get a tad bit more volume in here, because now that I started to shift this edge, it really started to flatten out in a way that I don't like. Yeah, I don't know enough about PETA to criticize PETA's ethics. Nor do I entirely care too much. My care cup only has so much things that I can put in it. So many things. Whatever happened to the care cup meme? Alright, that's feeling a lot better to me. And there might be some more translation stuff I can do for that inner crease, because it's a little tight. But I haven't really decided yet, but I've been thinking about merging the larger neck into the body, just so we can kind of soften some of that edge going around there. I think that might be nice. And we'll look at doing that a little bit later if we do, because that would require us to remesh our body yet again, and we just did that so that I could adjust our ankle and fix some of the form flowing up through here for our front legs, get a little bit more volume up there. And again, our poly paint's starting to like freak out, but excuse me, but I don't think I want to mess with that until a little bit later, because the more I mess with my form, the more that's kind of gonna break there. So T-pose, transpose master, T-pose mesh. grab this front left ankle and start twerking it. Twerking it. Twerking. All right, so I think I've decided that I do want to get this ankle a little bit more on the ground, or this foot on the ground. Have you ever sculpted IRL? And if so, what do you think is more difficult, IRL or digital? I have sculpted IRL, just like a handful of times. I have some monster clay in my closet, but I think digital sculpting is much more simple, a lot easier. I think. Or sorry, let me rephrase that. I don't think it's easier. I think it's much faster. Just because there are tools that make things, make doing certain operations more simple. For instance, let me fix my material real quick here on the body. But for instance, in digital, it's not like in traditional sculpting with medium like clay or wax. It's really simple to add or subtract geometry. It's really easy to just, one of the main benefits of digital sculpting is having something like the move brush where you can just push and pull stuff around. That's amazing. Just having that ability is in itself incredibly powerful. And there are a handful of different functions in digital sculpting that give you that level of power, like much more powerful tool set than working with your hands or a few different sculptural tools in traditional. But because of that, I think a lot of people jump into ZBrush and digital sculpting, whether you're in here or in, Blender or Mudbox or whatever. But because of that, they think, it's digital, it's software, it's gonna be a snap. Like, let's get in and do this, and then they make some new monstrosity that goes up on Reddit that I get to laugh at for a little bit. But no, I don't actually laugh at those people. Maybe a little internally. But honestly, like, I've been there myself, so everybody has. We know what it's like. But it's just kind of funny to see everybody go through the exact same mistakes that everybody else has made. Like, literally without fail, everybody does the exact same stuff. Like, here's my first sculpt, red wax material. It's like, you did it. Welcome to ZBrush. Good job. Just drop a pin. Donna, what's going on? When movies had real animals, movies still do have. There's a lot of movies with real animals. Like, what's the movie with Owen Wilson? Is it Marley and Me? Is that right? They went through like a ton of puppies through that movie. Not because, while filming, not because the puppies were getting hurt or anything, but because the puppies were growing too quickly for this shooting of the film. So they had to continually grab some new puppers, which I'm fine with. I'm sure that was a blast for them, being surrounded by puppies. Let's see. Saw some static anatomy figures. Let's see. You're talking about the 3D Total figures, I think. The ones that are listed down below under my my tools and stuff that I use, equipment or whatever. Looking to buy similar figures for a present, but I want to be able to move them to set different poses on them. Can you recommend me anything? I think 3D Total, the same company, maybe has some jointed and posable figures that are anatomical. But do keep them. I don't know who you're gifting them to, but you know, anatomy changes as muscles and bones move. So I don't know if it would be incredibly helpful to have that kind of reference. But just having a posable figure, if you want to get one of those like cheap mannequin wooden dolls, those are pretty cool. I like those. They're fun. This ankle so stupid. Red wax is lying. We didn't have Leonardo DiCaprio fighting an actual bear. Yeah, I would hope not. That doesn't sound like a win-win for either side. I've not seen that movie. What's the Follygon chat reviews? What do we got on Leonardo vs. Bear movie? I don't even know what it's called. Wild America 2. What do I want to do with this ankle? So we originally had kind of like this taking a step pose. I have a bunch of other images. I have one where his leg is up, kind of at a 90, which I was kind of thinking about playing with. I don't know. I think I'm just going to move it flat, move it forward. I think it just makes more sense. I didn't really like the mid-walk pose too much with only one foot coming up. I think I've made this leg a lot longer as well. It's not important. We'll cheat it back. That's a very specific number. 7.34 out of 10. Really well shot, very beautiful, but pretty boring. Very specific value. By the way, if you don't already, guys, go give Donna a follow. She streams on the Pixelogic ZBrush channel as well. Donna XYZ. Check her out on Twitch. I think she streams on her own channel. Although I'm not too certain on that, as I have never caught her on her own channel, just on the Pixelogic one. Alright, let's like grow this up or whatever. Skirt. Skirt, skirt. And then for this ankle, I must fix this terrible thing that I've done. Here. You know what? This is being so stupid and annoying. This one got warped as well, and I don't know how, and that makes me sad. Here, I'm just gonna go back real quick and fix some of these hooves. I don't know what happened. At some point in transpose, I must have adjusted or accidentally masked part of them. See how it's getting like this stupid rounded edge down here? You're gonna be deleted. And that one too, because the bottom got messed up. These ones on the right got messed up somehow. I don't know how. But we gonna fix them. We're gonna delete them. Let's see. You need to stream on your own, but you're so busy. Chop chop. Chop chop, Donna. Get on it. I demand Donna streams. Alright. We're gonna take you, and we're gonna duplicate you. I hate you with all my love. Well, that's not very nice. Why can't we be friends? Come on, guys. Let's all just get along. Yeah, that hoof like really got warped somehow. I do not know how though. And we'll reconstruct subdivs here in just a moment. Hopefully not jack these up the next time we're in Transpose Master. But now this gives me an opportunity to kind of fix that ankle and figure out what's really going on there. Some of these orientations need to change quite a bit. I just had like a mini stroke and I could not find the D key on my keyboard. Holy crap. Yes. Everyone knows that if Follygon calls you out on stream, then you have to do the thing. This is a well-known fact in the ZBrush community. Why ZBrush can sometimes change your export scale from 100 to 1 without you messing with the settings. Yeah, I do know why. And not just 100, but it kind of depends what you're working with. So if you're in the tool palette, scroll all the way down to the bottom to export, make sure that scale is on 1 at all times pretty much. If you import an object into ZBrush, depending on where you import it from, it could be really large or really small. And because of that, thank you, Dith Horse. Dith. Thank you for the follow, appreciate it, hope you're having a great day. But if you import something in ZBrush, scale of 1, ZBrush is going to try to take whatever you import, if it's really big, and it's going to try to scale it down for you. And the reason it does that is because of all of ZBrush's tools work best around a scale of 2 cubed units in ZBrush. So it'll try its best to get you a little bit closer to that, whether it's scaling up or down or whatever. But when it does that, it will change your export scale down here. So just make sure that's on 1 when you export, And if you're really having trouble in your Z plugin palette, there is there's like a scale master or something in here that you can use. I prefer to just set my stuff manually though, so I don't use it very often. But maybe try playing with that. I think that'll help you out. I'm probably just going to clip off the bottom of these so I don't have to worry about making them perfectly flat. Kind of fudged them enough. Alright. Let's line up our ankle now. I told you guys we'd be working on these ankles a lot during this stream. I know, this is just such a blast. What could be more fun than sculpting deer ankles? I can't think of anything. Not a thing. Alright, so I'm pinching this edge to start getting a little bit of a harder transition. You can see where I've done that a little bit more back here. Man, this camera's jumping all around. And then started to soften them and bring that sharp edge back a little. I just start to use that pinch to begin turning the surface a little bit more. It's very helpful. I need to soften it more up here in this front ankle. Just knock it back a step. Yes, absolutely. Alright guys, we have successfully, good job David, you have successfully bullied Donna into streaming. Good job. Proud ZBrush dad here. Set the scale to one of your retopoed tools and then fixed it. Yeah, nice. Good job, dude. It's always nice to solve those problems when you're racking your brain trying to figure out why something isn't working that should be working. That's never fun. I don't like how parallel this is. Also, I don't like the silhouette in general. These freaking legs. Too much stuff in the way. Really trying to get that extra volume. Just a wee bit up here on front. Just a wee bit. That's a thing that people say, right? A lot of loud noises coming from outside. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. Sounds like somebody's house is being demolished. Quick question, is there a way to make hair cards out of fiber mesh? Yeah. Just make them really wide. And you can do that in the default settings, I think, without like manually adjusting them. Or you could even export the curves out onto like Maya or something. If you want to turn the curves into some kind of like XGen or something. Let's see. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. You tried something and it failed? I don't know, I must have missed something. Now I think most of this is just going to be a little bit of extra silhouette cleanup, making sure that this is reading the way I want it to. I'm wondering... no, I don't think so. Never mind. Never the mind. So I was thinking that maybe I would do something to these who's to pinch up and make them a little bit more, like, it feels really deep right now, that area. So what I was thinking, let's get a little extra geo there. Or actually, this shouldn't be necessary. Here, I'm just gonna use my move brush with backface masking. Or you know what? No, I don't know. Let me play around here with this just a tad. Yeah, something more like that. That didn't take nearly as long as I thought it was going to take. Which is always nice when you get surprised. It just felt very sharp and very deep, and I was like, how can I even, like, maybe more than that? I don't know. I'll keep going on some of these. Do each one of these individually. I think it'd take longer to realign some of these ankles if I duplicated them. Now there are ways to instance geometry in ZBrush, and I've talked about that. I have a tutorial on my YouTube channel if you're interested in that. I don't do it enough to really need it too often now. Alright, so kind of rounding those out more. Get rid of that reference image since I'm not using it right now. You tried XGen a few times and all it did was make you realize you're staying stylized forever. Yeah, I really like sculpting hair. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's really cool when you can make geometry look like, feel like it represents hair well. At least I like doing it. I thought the question was making hair cards out of high-res thin fiber mesh. You can mess with your fiber mesh settings, Bill, in your modifiers. Ouch. I can't remember which one it is because I'm not activating it right now to mess with it. But you can limit the number of segments you want to do depending on how much you want to do for your hair cards. But you can get really wide. You'll have to make sure that it's single-sided as well, probably. But yes, you can do that straight out of the box with the modifiers. It might require some manual tweaking. Like, I think anytime you do something that's automatic or generate anything, I think you should always put the human touch on there. Wouldn't do hair cards with fiber mesh because you'll just end up with a lot of intersections unless you're doing very short hair. Yes, I could also see that being a huge problem. Alright, so I've done some work to flatten out those hooves. Never know how to say hooves. So I just say both. See, just blanket. Maybe it's hooves. Hoofs? It doesn't matter. So we've done a lot of work to like straighten those and get those a little bit more flat. I think these ankles are starting to feel a lot nicer to me. There's still some stuff going on here, but I would like to kind of just do one real quick pass on some of this stuff in our ankles and then fix a lot of the color that's gotten screwed up over time with our poly paint, specifically on the body. That's where it's really freaked out. But our Bambino's shaping up. Great Prince is looking a lot better now. A lot better than where we started. I opened that up earlier. If you guys are interested. I think we're on, let's see, here. We'll load up a bunch of these real quick. Just kind of stepping through the process. Yeah, we'll go there. We'll go that far. That's fine. So this was our stage 1 of the block out. Starting off with spheres, just getting this to a point where you have some geometry in there. And during this stage, I am looking at references a lot for kind of noticing certain silhouette hits and figuring out where forms need to go, and also figuring out proportions. But at the same time, you know, you don't want to overanalyze that stuff. You really just want to get through and get all the parts and pieces in. That's really the most important thing at this stage. And then from there, after you start getting that stuff in, then you can start taking it to the next level where you're starting to really shape things up, really look at your reference, and really just make sure that things are a little bit closer to what you're seeing in the concept. Then from there, we took it even further, kept working with it, and once I got to this stage, I was pretty close to wanting to pose this up and start moving forward with it a little bit more, but there were some proportional changes that we had to make, and we made those, and then finally we did get into posing, which is kind of where we are right now. So, quick like run through of that process again. Bam bam. Bam Bambino. And then this guy. So we've come a long way, but we're gonna keep going here. Got a lot more to do. I'll also mention again that last Saturday was the first time that we did some live critique sessions, and it was a lot of fun. We had 3 different people send in some stuff to work on, and that'll be up on my YouTube channel here in the next like hour or so. So if that sounds like something that interests you, definitely check it out. And if you would like to get something live critiqued next Saturday here on stream, save out a tool, just tool save as. Email that to me at follygon@gmail.com. So send me the tool, include your Twitch username so I know who you are, and then also include just some information about the sculpt, like what you're doing with it, where you want to take it, and what you want critiqued, and just try to be as specific as you can. Side effects, welcome back. How you doing, man? How was your day going? All right, we're gonna use. Make sure I didn't miss anything else here. I don't think I did. Awesome. So I'm gonna use. Let's see. Where's masking? I can't read. All right. So I'm gonna use this quick poly group. Fill all this color in, and I'm gonna zoom in here. Can you guys on stream, can you see the splotchiness that's caused from the projection on here? When I flip back between those two, I'll move my brush. So splotchiness active, splotchiness gone. It's a little tough to see here. You know what? If we go to flat material and fill that in. There we go. It should be a little bit easier even when I rotate to see some of the splotchiness. I don't know why projection does this, but it is pretty annoying. But here. And then we'll fill in the color over top of that, and all that splotchiness will go away, and it should just be a solid color. That is what I want to happen. This is so creepy. We need to give him an even creepier face, I feel like. But yes, I'm using that to fix some of the splotchiness, and I'm also using it to fix some of the terrible edges that were around here. So now we're just going to redo some of this. And I'm using, again, that poly group from the old color. I did that by using a mask by intensity, which is just down in your masking palette. Mask by color, you can mask by a few different options in there. I used intensity, and it's separated between those two light and dark areas to create a poly group. So I could create a poly group real quick, and then just fill that in. And now I think I'm gonna go over this a little bit by hand. Let's not blur that mask quite as much as what I did there. Here. We'll just control click a couple times on surface, fill in, and let's go over top of this with our lazy mouse standard brush. I'll drop the RGB down to like, I don't know, like 20 or something. And just clean up some of these more awkward areas. Try to get something a little bit nicer. Make sure that's not wrapping around to the front. I wouldn't want the inner edge of this to be seen from there. That would be kind of weird. And really just kind of clean all this up. The light was kind of playing a little trick on my eye there. And then what's great about poly painting in ZBrush is that your C key samples color. So if you're working on something like this, or if you're working on a face, creating lots of different colors, you can start to essentially mix colors to, like if I start to like gradate that through there, I can, if I hold down the C key and as I swipe down through here, you'll see my color over here start to shift. So you can almost create like a little bit of a palette for yourself directly on your dear canvas. There's also the new plugin that allows you to create color swatches, which I have not installed or played with because it's not something that I use very frequently. But I think that would also be worth checking out. I still have that just in my downloads folder. I should install those. It's really hard for me to find the time to do some of that stuff, or I should say make the time to do some of that stuff. But, you know, like I said, it's not something that I use very often, so I'm not too upset about it. Portfolio every day. It's every day, bro, isn't it? Essentially, this is like a paint by numbers now. Welcome to Painting in the Lines. Judge me on how well I can stick within the lines. Guys, I'm a sculptor, not a painter. Come on. Dear butt. I was thinking that we should give him one of these. The little X butthole. Perfect. Keep you right there. Alright, try to get a little bit more, now that we've kind of played with the form in a lot of our areas of our legs, the curves that I've originally created here to be oh so clean in our poly painting are not reading quite as well as they were before. So just taking the time to clean up some of that stuff can be nice. We'll continue on here. And I like to, you know, I'm fine with having to redo some of this stuff. You never know how much is going to be able to be kept when you're, you know, not even into posing yet. A lot of stuff, you kind of just, in truth, if you're going into posing in ZBrush and you're doing something sculpturally, whether it's paint or whether it's, you know, actual geometric form, you just have to kind of accept that some things are going to have to be resculpted, some things are going to be messed up. It's kind of similar to what somebody was asking about for a anatomical figure that you could pose, right? And a lot of that just comes down to a lot of anatomy and forms. They're going to change when you start to get some different posing in there. That's just kind of how things go. Unless if you want to take up the time to, and there's really no reason to do this sculpturally, but to, you know, rig and skin weight something manually for a sculpture, or for something that's for physical production, that's kind of a huge waste of time. Unless you are a master rigger, like I had a professor when I was in school that I think he worked on a lot of the old 2K games, which is basketball. Like I think it's the old 2K, like 14, 15. They look terrible. Like a lot of those games where they have some semi like realistic figures, people that are supposed to be, you know, real basketball players or real sports ball players of any kind. Good old sports ball. A lot of that stuff doesn't age very well. Stylized stuff, though, however, ages very well. Unless it's just bad to begin with. Oh, is it IE? My B, Willie. Like Steamboat Willie. You know, it's definitely from an older time, but I don't know how old this image is, but you know, I think there's some good stuff in here in terms of there's definitely some bad stuff, but I think there's some good stuff that really does hold up through a lot of this. Let's see. We got a Froggy Boy that you would like me to check out. Changed it a lot, redone it many times. Must prepare it for Substance, so tomorrow you can play in Substance. That sounds like a lot of fun. Well, what specifically do you want? What do you want me to check out about it? I always say try to be specific if you... I don't know if you're asking for critique, but we will be doing another live critique session next Saturday, if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in. Alright. A lot of these lines are still a little not as straight as I would like. I will do some more stuff, so I guess just your point of view. My point of view. I don't know what you mean by that. That's kind of a little bit too general for me to advise on. What would you change, for example? You have more experience, so anything you say applies. Well... Let me fix some more stuff here and then we'll take a quick gander. Bet you never thought that you would come into a live stream and see a deer butt. That was probably not on your list of to-dos today. It might have been, but I kind of doubt it. 5 months, ZBro. 6 now. Alright, here's what I want you to do, side effects. If you want me to take a look at your file here on stream and give a quick critique, I would be happy to do so. But what I want you to do is just type a number in the stream. And I want that number to be on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 means I'll say, good job. It looks great. You're doing good. Keep it up. Just do your thing. 10 is hard critique. I'll rip you a new butthole critique. So just 1 through 10. You want a nice coddle, or 10, I want you to tear my stuff apart. When a lot of people ask for critique, and this is why I try to say be specific. You try, maybe provide your reference image. Try to be as specific as you can with your critique. Because asking for critique, what ends up happening, I don't have any of my, I've shown my old stuff, like some really, really old stuff here on stream before. Let me try to, or let me go on Reddit really fast, because that'll probably have a bunch of stuff on here that we can take a look at. Let me see. Here it is. This is what I was looking for, because I pulled this up last time. And I just want to make this same comparison. So somebody uploaded this on Reddit not too long ago. I pulled this up on stream here recently. And I pulled this up not to put this person on blast or anything, but I pulled it up as an example of what I think is absolutely terrible, right? But a lot of the time when people are posting stuff and asking for critique, you know, they'll just say something to the degree of, hey, what do you think of this? It's like, I think it's really bad. I do really think it's pretty bad. And from a professional standpoint, you have to objectively compare your stuff to professionals. If you're aiming to be a professional, right? You have to compare yourself to people that are in the industry. And you have to aim for that bar. Or you have to aim for above that bar if you want to receive work in the industry. But sometimes when people are posting their work, they don't want that. They just really want, you know, hey, keep it up, you're doing great, keep doing what you're doing. And a lot of the time that is what I see. So when I say be specific with critique, what I'm telling people is tell me exactly what you want. Please don't ask me to just look at something, because that's very vague and I don't know what that means, and I don't know what that means for you. Instead, say something maybe to the degree of, hey, what do you think about my character's anatomy? And specifically, maybe like take a look in the chest. I've been really struggling with that. What do you think about my character's anatomy in the chest? Or how do you think I could improve the toes on this character? I've been really struggling with the toes. How can I improve those? Those are like two really specific things that I can look at and I can help you improve. And if you give like those really generalistic things, it's really, really tough for people to give good critique. So, I see a lot of people say like, oh, that's terrible critique that somebody just gave like in a forum somewhere. But I'm like, yeah, they might have given like maybe not that good of a critique, but also at the same time, that person was terrible at asking for critique. So it goes both ways. I have very strong opinions about critiques. And again, I don't pull up that image to put that person on blast. I pull it up as an example for that. Over 9,000. Let me see here. Lamentios was wondering if you will do a full character tutorial on Gumroad in the future. We go through the full we create a Charizard, not a full human or anthro character. In this one, this is more human. That's probably what you're talking about. I created this entire Charizard during this course here. This is all on my Gumroad, by the way. Gumroad/Follygon is what they're referring to. But I have another thing in the works that I was mentioning at the beginning of this stream. So I'll have some more information on that hopefully here soon. Send in next stream with all the info. I would appreciate it. I see you're 11 now. So you want 2 new buttholes ripped in your sculpt. Learning art has a lot of emotional pain on the way to excellence. It absolutely does. And you're going to have to build thick skin. And I don't necessarily enjoy being the person that has to give people thicker skin. But it is necessary. It really is. And you have to learn that the hard way. Maybe you've already learned that in your life through other experiences, but in this industry, it's so competitive. You really can't coddle people to a lot of the extent, and that's why I also highly recommend that you always try to surround yourself with artists that are better than yourself as much as you can. If you're always hanging out with people that are worse than you, or below your level, or around the same stage, if you're asking for critique, you might not be getting the extra push that you could be getting elsewhere. And that's not to say that people that are not top of their game can't critique other people's work in an effective manner, but at the same time, I think you can get a lot more, maybe, from people that are much better than you. Uber, yes, absolutely. That's the TLDR of what I just said. When someone asks for a crit, my next question is, do you want a compliment or do you want an actual critique? Very true. Very true. Let's see. Do you ever use Sculptress Pro? And if so, when do you choose it over Dynamesh? I do not ever use Sculptress Pro. Ever. It's a pretty new feature, and I haven't found a reason to include it in my workflow. It's just really easy for me to switch back and forth between Dynamesh and ZRemesher, and I've been doing it for so long that it's just kind of ingrained in me. The only time that I could personally see myself using Sculptress Pro during the sculpting process is probably really early when I'm just like pulling out shapes and blocking stuff out, because during that stage when you're just starting with a sphere, when you're in this really early stage, I'm using mainly Dynamesh. And, you know, as I pull shapes out and push and do all this like crazy stuff here, whatever I'm doing, I'll just Dynamesh again. It might be a little bit faster to work with Sculptris Pro maybe, but for the most part it's really not necessary. I like to keep things pretty low poly in this early stage, so even for me, I feel like it's not incredibly necessary. Not to say that the tool is bad or not useful, but at least for me, you know, I just don't use it. All right, we're gonna try blending. Well, I was going to try blending some colors in our face. Let me see what this is shaping up like for just a moment here, so I can really focus in for a second. Alright. If I ask for a crit without being specific, I expect to be roasted in all ways possible. Roast me. Yeah, but also, I think you'll get more critiques if you are specific, because then people are like, okay, you know, this person's being a little bit more respectful of the people who will take the time to actually, you know, critique something for you. Yeah, it goes both ways. Sculptris Pro with poly paint. No, I've never thought about it, but I'm sure it would be very good for doing something like that. Getting this awkward, like, extra edge here. I'm sure I did that on purpose at one point. Alright. The next area, it looks like right here, and you can maybe see it a little bit more from here, but there's like a negative right here on this face. Starting to cause some awkward shadows. And I think just getting some extra volume through this area is gonna help out. Good morning! It's not really morning here anymore. I've been streaming for a few hours. But good morning. Good morning to anybody in the world where it is morning. Morning, evening, night, schmorning. Nice organic texture with Sculptris Pro. It probably is very dependent on your sculpting, but I think you can get that with just about everything. Like I said, not dissing the tool, I just don't use it. What am I sculpting? A blob. A Bambi deer. Bambi's dad, actually. The great prince of the forest. Currently working on fixing some awkward stuff in the face, since we have not worked on our face in quite a while. You know what? Here, I'll do this. I do this from time to time. Bambino! Go! This is my new Pokemon. The Great Bambino. No problem, Black Label. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Hopefully some of the stuff has been helpful. Pokemon, huh? That's right. PKmon. Have I watched the Detective Pikachu movie? Is it out already? I saw the trailer. I don't think the movie's out yet, right? Nor would I probably, I don't think I would go see it. In theaters, at least. Maybe wait for that to come to Netflix or something. I don't know if it ever would. But yes, it's definitely something. Oh, sorry, I don't have my stream open. N4BI, thank you for the follow and welcome to the stream. Like I said, it's been a while since we've done some stuff on the face, so it's good to take some time to clean up a bunch of garbage that we have neglected up to this point. How do you print your models in color? I actually have a tutorial for that on my YouTube channel. And if the tutorial, if you're kind of a little bit more new to ZBrush and don't know all the tools that I mentioned in there, I have a live stream here. I have a live stream that I did on the Pixelogic ZBrush channel. I wish these opened up playlists still like they used to. That goes into all of that. I should include that link in here, but yes, here's the link to that. I'll dump that in chat. That teaches you how I do my SLS full color printing. I have a bunch of these on my desk. Here's the Pikachu Totoro, since we're talking about Detective Pikachu. He's real fun. He's like 2.5 inches tall. He's hollowed out. Printed in color, SLS, full color, sandstone from Shapeways. But yes, check that out. And then, if we go to the Pixelogic channel here, which I will try to open in another tab very quickly. And find old Benny Boo. Where am I? Here I am. And yes, this one. Here you go. This is a real-time video. It's like an hour and a half of me going through that entire process. I'm going to copy that link and include it in the description for that video. This one, I should do that so that I have that more handy for people. You're very welcome. Not a problem. Yes, the trailer, not the actual movie. I have checked out this trailer. It's equal parts disturbing and amazing. Mr. Mime is something to behold, that's for certain. It's gonna be awesome. You know, there's going to be a Deadpool cameo in there. I highly doubt it, because I don't know how well Disney and Nintendo get along. I don't know if that would be a thing. It would be cool though. Ryan Reynolds is not Deadpool. It's just like, Ryan Reynolds is now Deadpool and only Deadpool forever for me. This is so bad. Does anybody know a tutorial with the tool bag to substance workflow? I'm not sure what you mean by the tool bag. Tool bag to substance. Yes, just like our Robert Downey Jr. will never not be Iron Man. You are now forever Iron Man. Yeah. It's like people see that actor and they're like, you are this. You are this and nothing else. All of your other work, it doesn't matter. Name 2 movies. Come on, that with Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. Nailed it. And also, now Detective Pikachu. Man, I kind of want to get the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu / Eevee, just because it's been so long since I've played essentially Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, and it would be a lot of fun to do that. It'd be the only reason though. Whoa, hello. Poking through our ear up there. Woo-hoo. I just don't make the time to play games like I used to though. I do have a Nintendo Switch. I'm waiting for the new Smash. I have that on pre-order. That'll be my game to play for the next X number of months. Still waiting on that Melee 2 though. I was thinking about softening that translation, or that translation between these 2 colors. At least in the references that I see. Pretty much all of them. He has like a hard line there. I guess it's maybe supposed to be, I don't know. Pretty much all of these he has that though. I kind of like that, how it goes up to the point of the ear. Man, this is so bright. Waiting for Metroid? Oh man, I'm waiting for a really good 2D Metroid. What was the, there was a recent one that came out on the 3DS, and I heard a lot of mixed things about it. But, man, I really loved the GBA Metroid games. I wasn't really a huge fan of the other M games on GameCube, but Game Boy Advance in general had some really amazing, just amazing games on it. Let's try using our RGB to smooth out some colors up on the head. And this works just like smoothing geometry. And it's gonna mess up my material. You know what, no, that's gonna mess up my color as well. Yeah, I have to do it only at the highest subdiv, which is kind of annoying. Nah, maybe it's not worth it. It's a lot more noticeable here. You can actually use your smooth brush on Polypaint though, if you didn't know. Yeah, I think that's kind of dumb. We'll just keep that hard edge. It'll be fine. Alright, so I've cleaned up a lot of different things in the face now. We've definitely done a lot of work down here in the body. I still am not liking this one ankle. This one dang ankle. The Green Lantern? Wait, is there a new Green Lantern movie coming? Is this real? I thought that would be... Oh, you thought that would be their final superhero movie? So there's actually a Detective Pikachu game on, I think, the 3DS that came out earlier this year. And it had an even more disturbing voice than Ryan Reynolds. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I think that's the entire point, is to have that, you know, shock value almost. The other Pikachu from the 3DS game sounds like a Pikachu that like smokes a pack of cigarettes a day. It's pretty funny. Man, there is like something going on with this pen nib. Thinking about switching it. It's like getting really sharp on one side and it's really annoying to use. Let's try that. Sometimes I just have to spin my pen nib around every once in a while. And by every once in a while, I mean like once every 6 months. I don't know. Not very often. I don't press very hard with my pen at all. Nor do I think you really need to in most cases. Still waiting on your tablet? I thought you were supposed to have it already by now, Engine. In Spanish, he has a nice voice. Latino Pikachu. Yes, definitely Google the video game Detective Pikachu. Check out the trailer for it. I'm surprised like nobody had heard about it though before the movie. Because of how ridiculous the concept is. I want to try, let's see, maybe my move brush. We'll keep trying that. Try to just push in a little bit more around this area, get a little bit more of a fold. What just happened? And I think we're getting close to a point where I would stop working on this for a little while and maybe return to it later, or we can maybe look at some more stuff for 3D printing. Some interesting challenges for this print. If you were to print something like this, it has a lot of really thin, spindly legs, and it's got antlers and everything else that could cause quite a few problems for printing. For something like this, I think it would be much smarter to do some SLA printing, but sometimes, you know, you don't always have that option. A little X butthole. It kinda has the Puss in Boots voice. Does it really? I'll have to check that out. Side effects, heading out. Where when I catch up, I send ZTool. Yep, just send it over Follygon at Gmail. Yeah, Follygon at gmail.com. Sorry, I had a brain fart. So on Saturdays, we're gonna start, depending on how much stuff we have to look at, we're gonna be doing critiques on Saturdays. We just did one, our first one last Saturday, and we looked at three different characters. And we had a pretty good variety. We had one person that it was their first sculpt that they had ever done. We had somebody else that was, you know, a little bit further than that for sure, I think. And then somebody else maybe with a little bit more experience than that even. And so I think we had some good variety. And I think it's helpful for people that even aren't getting their personal stuff critiqued, just to see other stuff get critiqued live and kind of receive a sculpt over, I think is always very helpful. But yes, if you want to be a part of that next Saturday, send your stuff over to follygon@gmail.com. Send a ZTool, that's tool save as. Do not save me a ZBrush project, I will not look at it. ZTool, include your Twitch name so I know who you are, and then just include some extra info about your file, what you're trying to do, what's it for, and let me know what you want me to critique about it. And that video should be going up on my YouTube channel here in just a little bit. Alright, I kind of wanted to clean up that area around the neck even a little bit more, and I want to do a test on merging my neck into my body and play with this area, that connective point. And I'm thinking I'm not going to like it just because of the way it's represented in a lot of these areas. It's actually it's like a lot darker in pretty much everything that I found. But I wasn't really, I sampled a lot of colors and I was trying it out. I really didn't like the way it was looking. Like, here, I'll just make this a little bit darker. Let's see. So something like that, maybe I could see where it's just ever so slightly darker, but a lot of the differences that I've been seeing are like just very, very drastic. And I don't know, I think it looks a lot more clean this way. But yes, I want to do a test, so I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to duplicate the body and the neck / head. And just temporarily merge those together, hide all that extra stuff. So now I just want to run a, let's just try 500 Dynamesh. So the reason why I just want to try this, the reason why I think I'm not going to like this so much is mainly because, at least in the concepts that I'm seeing, getting this tighter transition between here, I was kind of liking that look. Going through some of this, I don't know. We might be able to make some of that work. Let's see. And then just kind of pull this pinch shape through here and maybe build up some of this additional volume. If I want to ask you, is this printable? Yeah, absolutely. You make 3D for 28 to 32 millimeters, so like a mini, a little over an inch. Sometimes you can't figure out if some parts would break. Well, depending on what type of material you're using, I assume you're printing FDM. I would try to do some tests to figure out your minimum supported thickness and your minimum unsupported thickness. So supported thickness would be your minimum supported thickness would be something like this leg. This would be supported because it has geometry directly under it. For FDM, it would be building up along that volume. So you could probably get pretty thin with something like that. Unsupported would be something like this tail or an antler, or pretty much, think of it like vertical versus horizontal almost. To your, or perpendicular or parallel to your print bed. Kind of think of it that way. So with unsupported stuff, you typically can't go as narrow as you could with supported stuff. So it's really hard for me to just say, like, this is your minimum thickness. Like, I might be able to figure out what would look like some problem areas, but that's about it. Definitely like your color choice, has a gentle look as opposed to grizzly bear colors. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking almost. I think I do like the hard separation a little bit more, and the main reason I've kind of kept that in up to this point is because I still want to add some more oomph, some more volume here. I feel like it's too gradual. I have started to get that to curve into the body, which you can see from our very drastic angle here. Another note, just on sculpting in general. Try to look at your stuff from these really drastic angles. It'll reveal stuff to you that you probably would not notice otherwise. But yeah, let's try getting some more volume here. I'm not really feeling it. So I'm just doing some very rough, quick masking at a low subdiv. And I'm most likely just going to use the low poly here. Start pulling some of this stuff out. And a lot of the concepts that I've looked at, this neck is huge. Like, his is much more deep, I guess. Much more wide looking at the profile in that image. And if we look at some of the other concepts, this thing gets huge. Big old neck floof. Some of these are a little awkward. I've mentioned that before. Let's see. I really like this one though. He's been kind of my favorite to go after. here lately. But yes, we are nearing the kind of final stages. I would say now we're kind of in that final 10%. And in all honesty, you can spend like an extra. What I like to say is you can spend an extra 100% in that last 10%. And it's really up to you how far you push something, because we all know the saying, you know, these projects are never finished, they're just abandoned. I think that's really true. I think you can only push something so far though with your abilities. Just trying to get that little extra 10% though it's really important. Finishing your projects is so important. And I know I don't finish all my projects, but do as I say, not as I do. Do some as I do, but not all of it. All right, starting to get some more volume. I think we can maybe even get a bit more through some of this, especially towards the bottom. It starts to taper maybe a little bit too quick. Cannot grab that. What is going on? So I'm really just roughing in some extra volume here with my clay tubes brush, really large clay tubes. And I really wouldn't recommend doing something like this unless you're comfortable working with your subdivs and you also have subdivs. If you're just doing like Dynamesh or something, this is probably not a good idea. I do this stuff a lot. Thank you, Quick Draw, for the follow there. But I do this stuff a lot, and it's really just like roughing in volume. Get some extra form in there, and then I will knock it back by going through my subdivs, stepping down pretty low and trying to do a gentle average smooth. That's when you smooth with your shift key to activate your smooth brush, but you let go of shift. It's a little bit more of an averaging out. And also, if I don't mention this often, when I'm using the shift, or when I'm using the smooth brush, I am smoothing very gently with my pen. I am like not pressing all that hard, because we just showed earlier how easy it is, you know, to destroy form incredibly quick. Like, it's crazy. Crazy how fast that stuff happens. It takes seconds. Just being careful with that and stepping through these subdivs, trying to round this out a little bit more. Trying to clean it up now, get rid of some of these extra strokes in my surface to make that a little bit easier to see. I can turn off my poly paint so I can see what's going on here. Take a look at some of these volumes that we've built up. And head back to our material. I could sit here and noodle with this stuff forever. And, you know, like I said, it is that last 10%. You do start getting to a point where you're getting diminishing returns. But at least, you know, trying to push that stuff a little bit further than you normally would, I think is worth your time. Gonna go make some dinner. Enjoy your din-din. Thanks for the chat. You're awesome, dear, and the answers. Have a nice day. You having a great day as well, David. Thanks for coming and hanging out, man. Take it easy, Despacito. Alright, so let's continue to jump around and look for little other things that we can clean up here. Like I said, we're in that last 10%. Another thing I'm gonna do... let's do this. I have a better idea. So, you know in Photoshop how... oh, maybe you don't know this. Well, a lot of 2D artists, the thing that they like to do is flip their canvas. And flipping your canvas will help you to look at your artwork or whatever you're drawing or painting or whatever. It helps you just see it in a new light. And it's really easy to do it in 2D, but in 3D it's a little bit more involved. So what I typically do is I take quick screenshots, just a couple quick like screen grabs or something like that, and take a look at stuff that way. But in 3D, sometimes we can actually mirror our model. So what I will do is click on Merge Visible, because we're only at like roughly 8 million points there. And then after I have this all in one subtool here, I'm just going to mirror that. And voila! We have mirrored our beautiful dear boy. So now, just kind of looking at this now from a little bit of a different perspective. And what I recommend when you're gonna do something like this, typically if I drop something into a canvas and then flip all the images, I will just walk away for like, 15, 20 minutes, whatever, however long it takes. Maybe go grab some lunch or something, and then come back. And then it just really helps you see stuff in a new light. And if you're in, Photoshop or 2D or whatever, you can do some paint overs and draw over exactly what you're seeing and exactly what you want to change. But in 3D, like I said, sometimes I'll do this just so I can see how things are shaping up and go from there. I think I would like to get more of a straight on this leg, this front leg. I feel like the curve there is a little unnecessary, and I think it makes that silhouette feel really kind of dumb, actually. I don't know why my selection brush didn't work. It's because it's broken. This is my select lasso brush, but it's freaking out. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. There we go. Sometimes that happens. But yes. I think this silhouette here... all my brushes are backwards. That concave that we're getting there into that straight, I'd like to straighten that out. And it might not be correct to anatomy, but there's a lot of things that aren't correct to anatomy in this. And for the sake of improving my silhouette for my character, I find that to be a little bit more important. The basic thing when I'm looking at silhouette, not the basic thing, there's a lot of things. One of the major things though that I look at is straights versus curves. And straights versus curves is having one side of your mesh that's a little bit more visually interesting than the other side. And you'll see this a lot in a lot of stylized characters. So if we look at the neck up here, we have a little bit of a straight on that side for the neck coming down, and on the other side we have this nice beautiful curve flowing all the way down and through and around the body. And what this idea does of straights versus curves is it really helps to lead your eye around a lot of these shapes, and it helps it from getting too busy, and it just looks really nice. It helps to have a really nice balance between your different forms. So that's some of the stuff that I look at. That's one of the major things when I'm looking at silhouette. Also just like general cleanliness and a few other things. So this right here in the front leg is one of those, and I'm thinking over here maybe a little bit of the same thing. Just getting some more volume through there, and maybe even pulling back a little bit on the back of that one because it feels a little wide compared to the other to me. On the back legs, I don't know. I think I like a lot of what's going on here, and I probably just need to give my eyes a little bit more of a break from looking at some of this stuff. But I do like a lot of what's going on here in the silhouette as we turn around. Maybe I could straighten out this back edge a little bit more. Other than that, you know, I don't see a ton that I would change right now. In terms of just the forms of the back, I don't know. Not too much either. Like I said, we're in that last 10%, so. I think there's a lot that I could actually do up in the face. And I think that's probably where we'll spend a lot of that little last 10%. I do want to merge those eyelids down and maybe play with those ears a little bit more. From the profile, I do like a lot of what's happening. And if you're struggling to see your silhouette or your profile, one thing that I like to do is just set your color to black. You can even change your material to a flat color. And here, it bugs out a little bit there, so here we go. Look at our silhouette this way. So if you're having trouble seeing your silhouette, seeing what's going on, this can be very helpful for you. I think it's definitely reading really well. I think there are just a couple areas that I pointed out in the legs. Maybe some stuff in the face that we can play around with. But these are some of the tactics that I use to figure out, you know, where to go from here, these last stages. Or not even just these last stages, for the entire process, really. Is that Prancer? No, it's Bambi's dad. Bambi's dad from Bambi. Thank you, Gabu, for the follow. How are you doing? Somebody asked me to make his nose red during one of our last streams, so we turned him into Rudolph really quick. Here. Well, we'll go Rudolph mode really quick. Once more. Bam. It's that easy. That's how easy it is to make Rudolph. Alright, we'll leave that alone. I do want to change some stuff up in the nose a little bit. Some stuff that I was noticing. What are you going to do with this model? Sculpt it. Sculpt it really well. Somebody was actually asking if they could render it. Do some post-processing. So I'll probably be sending it their way. Whoops. Getting some smooth out on that color. Don't want that. Did you say if you're going to print this model? I am not going to print this one now. No, this would be a lot more expensive than some of the other things. I will be printing my dragon sculpt from our last character. This one. You can check out the entire process for this sculpt over on my YouTube channel, which is just YouTube/Follygon, or just Google Follygon and you'll find it. But he was a lot of fun to play on, work on. What am I saying? Sculpt, sure. Just trying to drink my water. Alright, so we're getting these quick tweaks around our legs. Like I said, I think there's some pretty minor things. We would not be at this stage now if we did not do a lot of little minor tweaks. That's what sculpting is. Lots of little tweaks over a long time. Trying to see if one of these is like way wider than the other. It's not. just off by a little bit. But that's okay. Alright. So some little stuff around the legs. I didn't really notice too much in the back that I wanted to change, so I'll hold off on that for now. And then we'll take a look at our face. I did mention the eyelids. Maybe we'll give him some eyelashes too. Not a terrible idea, because he does have eyelashes actually in a lot of these concepts that I'm looking at. Luscious deer lashes. Alright, I think I'm actually gonna merge. Well, you know what? Let's not merge the lids down quite yet. We might be able to use these eyelids. I think I can. So I'll show you a little trick. Since I poly modeled these eyelids a long time ago, I have these little poly groups here, and I'm going to try using these lids to create our eyelashes. Alright, so we just have a plane of geometry now. And I'm going to do this one at a time because we don't have symmetry anymore. Pull that down. And just kind of block out where this needs to go. This is how I'll do eyelashes on a lot of stylized characters, so if you guys have watched any of my streams in the past, you've probably seen me do this. Or at least something very similar. And then, after you get it into place, there's going to be some smoothing that occurs on this. So I will typically just give that a little bit of extra room on top, and I will wait to smooth that out. Let me adjust this other one over here. I probably won't make them quite as big as what I have right now. Maybe a little bit too luscious of eyelashes for our Prince of the Forest. Maybe not luscious enough. I don't know. Alright, so from here, we're going to use our Z modeler brush and extrude all polygons to give that geometry some thickness. And then we should be able to smooth out that curve, but we need to crease a lot of these edges that are not creased so that we can get some hard edges. Make sure that's working there on both sides. Take a step back. Alright, we'll come back to that one in just a moment. Let's do this other one real quick. Crease, crease, crease all around. Cool. Alright. Now I'm just going to use my move brush. I'm also going to sample that black color and my ZBrush paint material. Fill that in. And now we've got some basic eyelashes, just really quick. And this graphic style that I've done here, well, one, it's very popular in stylized characters, 2D and 3D, and I see it all the time. But it's definitely apparent in a lot of these places on these concepts. So these ones are a little bit more pointed toward that back corner. I'm not a huge fan of that myself, so I've tried to keep this in line. I'm also noticing that he has eyebrows, which is fantastic. And he's got some additional poly paint that we want to do. Well, actually, no, hold on. No, I guess we did do that incorrectly. Let's do some painting on the ears, and I guess maybe give him some eyebrows. Are there eyebrows here? I guess there kind of are, aren't there? A lot of these are really low res, so it's hard for me to see. Holy butt! Guys, he's got freaking eyebrows. What's wrong with my nose? Alright, I guess. Alright, so I don't want him looking... I don't want my prints to be that sexy, so maybe we tone down these lashes a little bit. I'll just try to match the edge of that eyelid. I don't know. I don't think these are all that sexy. We don't want them looking too luscious. All right, and then our ears are just a lot going on up here that we've neglected. What is going on, Square Peg? How are you doing? All right, so for the ears, I need like this tan color. I think I have a bunch of other images over here. Let me sample this pink and that pink and just see what I like more between those. Grab our paintbrush. Alright, so I don't really like either of these in particular, but I mentioned earlier that you can kind of use your model as a little bit of a palette for paint. So we'll just kind of come through here and start sampling some colors to find a color that we do like. Thank you for the follow there, Square Peg. Hope you're having a good day. And I'm just going to blend between these a little bit until I do find that pink color. So the way I got these two pinks was I sampled some colors from my image over there. And now I'm just blending between these two. Trying to find something that I like a little bit more. Alright. So I think that is the pink that I'm going to go with. So let's see. Yes, we will go with that. At least for now. And I'm just using my standard brush, standard freehand stroke with a lazy mouse on. Nothing crazy here. I do have my RGB intensity down a little low. I like to keep it down really low when poly painting. But at least for this portion, I'll keep this a little bit stronger. So there are a few things we need to do up in our ears. The main thing, obviously, get this inner ear color to be more correct. And then there's like this black tip for the ear that we want to get, as well as the tan color on the ridge of the ear. And then some eyebrows. And eyebrows are really, really simple to do. They're almost exactly the same as how we created our eyelashes, except for our eyelashes we actually kind of cheated and copied some geometry. But we made that geometry, so we didn't cheat that bad. Reusing stuff is highly encouraged. Reusing stuff that you've made. I'm all for using base meshes and stuff, but I think you should really learn how to create as much as you can on your own. It's going to help you out a lot in the future. I would say the rule of thumb is, if you're on a job and you're doing something that needs to get done, cheat and do everything you can, aside from like stealing or something, obviously. Do everything you can to get that job done as quickly as possible, But when it's something that you're trying to do for like practice or, in your own free time, I highly encourage people to create stuff all from scratch on their own. I do think it's really important, and I think it's extremely helpful. You'll get the most out of it. Getting some stretching around my ear. Ah, see that star right there? It's causing a lot of issues. I might have to do something to get rid of that. It's kind of annoying. Can't believe I didn't notice how different these ears were. But that's what happens when you look at something for so long. You just kind of get used to looking at the same thing. And you start to not notice that stuff anymore. That's why I recommend taking breaks and flipping your canvas and all that good stuff. Alright, so basic inner ear color. So this is shadow there. And then that tip of the ear is going to be black. Let's see here, let's look at a few of these. Interesting. And then there's some extra like fur tufts in the ear. Those will be really easy to do. And I could show you guys how we could do that. I don't know if I want to do that though, because I think it detracts from what I've done everywhere else. And then if I did that there, I would have to do it in some more places. So I will probably not do any extra little floofs. Because then I would feel like I need to do it in a lot of these other places, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I just kind of like the simplistic form that we have going on. So, let's see again. So a little bit of a circular kind of cut there. Alright, cool. So probably easiest if I just grab my ear by itself. And there's actually, so if you really want to make that like circular shape, there is a mask circle, mask perfect circle that you can use. So maybe this is something, this is a really specific mask brush. It's not something that I use very often, but in the case, maybe it's really helpful. I don't know. We'll try it out. Normally I would just do this with my select lasso or my mask lasso and not think about it twice, but I don't know. You can try it out. Yeah, I don't know. Give me my mask lasso. I'm essentially just using my wrist as a pivot point to do that. It's nothing crazy. Especially since this is black here, it shouldn't matter too much. I think that's too thick. Let's go more narrow. Let's go even more narrow. Maybe more like that. Just the tip, right? Alright, and now let's try to mirror that over to our other side. Let's see. Somewhere around here. It's about the same size. Alright, and then just some inner, like this inner edge here. I'll poly paint that a little bit, get that tan color through there. I probably should have done this black cutout after I did this, because this will be a little bit difficult to do. I'll just have to finagle it. But yes, let's see. Lazy mouse, RGB. Bring that down. And then pretty much just pulling this color all the way through here. It might be easier if I made this like a separate piece of geometry that was like actual floof on top of this ear. But I think it's something that's so small that it's not really necessary. I mean, you know, you can. Mainly what I'm saying is I don't want to take the time to. I don't want to take the time to make it, which is fine. It's okay to be a little lazy on some stuff. I don't think it'll be like a big enough feature to really warrant it, warrant the extra work. And like I said, there is a lot of stretching going on down here, so I really think it's kind of small, so hopefully it's not. I haven't really looked, but hopefully it's not super noticeable from pretty far away. I don't think it is. I don't think it'll stand out. And stuff's always really annoying though when you have topology that just isn't playing nice. Alright, a little bit more through this inner edge here. And like I said, this is gonna mess up that translation between that black color there, but we will fix it. Should have done this a lot earlier. I might desaturate that pink. That is pretty desaturated. I might fade that brown in there a little bit, just because it's so distinct. I feel like it really takes your. Maybe not. It might just be the value difference. It feels like it really takes your attention away from the face. Yeah, you know what? No, I think it is fine. Kind of. The Rudolph nose was, I think, messing up my read. Alright, and then just like cleaning up that little area there. Sure, close enough. Doesn't need to be super clean. Like I said, it's a very small feature, and I don't think it adds that much to our character's face in general. And there are a lot of ways to go about doing this. I'm just kind of doing it by hand with a lazy mouse standard brush, but you can mask this area off. Like I said, you could also create some additional geometry if you wanted to go that route, much like what I did with the little just neck floof triangle piece there. That's separate geo. So, I don't know. There's always a million different ways to do everything. It's just a matter of figuring out what's fastest and, well, most efficient, and then what looks the best, of course. It would look a lot, well, it wouldn't look a lot better. I think I would, I've mentioned that I'm getting to that point where I'm getting diminishing returns for some stuff, but I think creating some extra geo up here in the ears, it wouldn't even, it's so small, it wouldn't even really stand out. If this was something that I was, if I really cared, if I really was going to put in the time, I'd probably do it. If I was going to give the 100%, yes, judge my paint within the lines abilities. Alright. There we go. I think that pink is alright. I think that pink. Yeah, at first it felt like it was really pulling a lot of focus away from the face, but I think, like I said, our Rudolph nose that I had on there is kind of throwing off my read on the face a little bit. But from a distance, you can't, you can barely see that tan ring around the ear. From kind of like a second look type of area, it starts to read a little bit more. And then once you close in on the face, this is maybe if I was going to be doing some... Thank you, Django, for the follow, I appreciate it. But if I was going to do anything with this close up, I would probably take the time to do that. Let's see. I did mention the possibility of merging the lids into the head, but I don't know. I think it's kind of fine the way it is. I think it would be really nice to do a render of this in Keyshot with color, much like what I did with this guy here. So these, we did a bunch of style studies recently. Even this, so all of these are just screenshots straight from ZBrush. So nothing crazy. Even this is a screenshot from ZBrush. These are all just screen caps. This is a render in Keyshot, and some of these, I was showing you guys the Pikachu Totoro print, right? This little guy. So I did a render of him in Keyshot, and I think I might do the same thing for our little deer here. Like I said, there was somebody asking, I can't remember who it was, but somebody was asking about maybe doing some like scene comp with it. So I'll try to remember who that was. They messaged me on here, so it shouldn't be too hard to find them. But yes, we have done a ton of little things. Let me see, do I have, is it this one? Yes. Alright. So I'll just try to flip back and forth between these two. I'll turn off our little platform down there as well, so you can see. Go away. So it might not seem like when you're watching, as stuff happens really slowly, I highly recommend that you do this with your own work. Look back through your old stuff, just kind of see how far you've come with everything. But just kind of flipping back and forth between these two, I think there's a lot of little changes you can probably notice. And that main one was trying to fix that back leg over there. But yes. We have come a long way from a sphere, and again, here's kind of our first saved file where we started blocking things out. When people always join in on the stream at this stage, it Well, at least at first. I don't really feel this way too much anymore. You know, you're at this stage and people are like, oh, hey, what are you working on? That looks weird. Like, what is it? Like, everything looks weird when you start out. Like, it takes time. It takes time to, you know, push past where you are and really get to that finished piece. But that is how 3D art is. That is how sculpture is. It is a very slow process, and it takes a lot of time. But I want to thank you guys for coming and hanging out today on the stream. I've had a blast. We've gotten a ton done on this guy, and he's starting to look really good. He's starting to shape up, and I'll be excited to try doing some renders and some other stuff with him, and we'll figure out what we're gonna do in our next stream. I won't do any spoilers yet, but I would appreciate it if you guys checked out down below. There's a link to my Gumroad. Got some stuff on there for some intro courses, quick start courses, some intermediate stuff, advanced. Got some mentorships if you guys are interested in that. Brushes, materials, yada yada yada. You've probably heard the whole spiel before. I'd greatly appreciate it if you checked it out. It's gumroad.com/Follygon. And then I got links down below for my art station, for my YouTube channel. There's a ton of free videos and tutorials and all sorts of stuff on there if that floats your boat. But yes, thank you again for coming and hanging out. I'm going to quickly find an artist to give a raid to here on Twitch, because that's always fun to do, and it's nice to spread the views, spread the love, and hang out with other people. But I need to pee super bad. So I'm going to try to find somebody really quick, and I'm going to end this stream there. So I will see you guys next time. I'll be streaming tomorrow at the same time, same place, and over on the Pixelogic ZBrush channel later tomorrow. And that's at 6 p.m. EST. So I'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day. The schedule is down below, by the way. There's no bang schedule command. But yes, see you again. Peace out.